What's the opposite of culminate? Like we hit rock bottom when my wife told me she was pregnant with our child, and thankfully I was happy. That's not the problem. The problem was 10 seconds after that, me realizing like we are $200,000 in debt, we are working 80 hours a week, we are both miserable, and now like somebody's going to hand us a baby on the dumpster fire that is our life.
What's up, everybody? It's Kevin Daisy with the Managing Partners Podcast, and I'm here today with a good friend of mine, Jordan, and he's got some cool stuff to share today. We're gonna be talking about how you can have a better life, run a better firm, and do it in less time and not be as stressed. So we can all use a little bit of that. So, Jordan, thanks so much for joining me. Jordan's actually out of Florida, Orlando, and he has a PI firm. But Jordan, please say hi and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure, Kevin. Thanks so much for having me. I knew I wanted to be a lawyer for as long as I can remember, having no idea what that means, and some days I still don't. But my family will tell you I argued with them a ton as a kid, so that prepared me for at least parts of it. When I graduated law school, I started out as a state attorney and then ended up opening up my own firm, originally doing criminal defense with my wife, who is also a lawyer and a way better lawyer than me. What's the opposite of culminate? Like we hit rock bottom when my wife told me she was pregnant with our child, and thankfully I was happy. That's not the problem. The problem was 10 seconds after that, me realizing like we are $200,000 in debt, we are working 80 hours a week, we are both miserable, and now like somebody's going to hand us a baby on the dumpster fire that is our life. And so from that, mid 2017, took my firm back down to the studs, recreated it from scratch and something that we actually wanted, which culminated in us taking a 13-month cross-country road trip in 2021 and 2022 while the firm did great. So PI firm, had a marketing company for lawyers in that meantime, and got bought out from that. So now I'm doing coaching to try and help more lawyers create their version of my life. In essence, how do you own a business that you can be proud of and live a life that's even better?
I love it. I mean, it's we don't have much time, so there's no need to waste all of it just working your butt off every day. So, and then it's funny how a kid or a child will kick things into gear for you, right? Real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm responsible for someone else and their life. Okay. Let's figure this out. So big moment for you, I assume.
Very much so. And it's interesting because like now I want to be very clear on how I'm about to phrase this. Like I view my employees like my child very similarly. Not that I treat any of them like children, but like there's that weird balance where you're like, hey, I want the best for you, but I also want to push you to be better, but I also want to give you the opportunity to fail and learn. And so it's amazing to me how much being a parent has changed me as a boss and a leader and a person, and hopefully for the better. Knock on wood.
We'll judge that here after this podcast. No,
There we go.
no, it really does. I mean, I have two kids, and actually, as we're recording this, my daughter's turning 11 today, so it's her birthday,
Hey,
and I'll
happy
be home
birthday.
after another meeting or so. After this, I'm going to be home early, and we'll be going to dinner and all that good stuff. So,
Please tell me your daughter is Daisy Daisy.
there's Arden Daisy, but no, yeah, no, she's the girl, and she probably gets praise for her last name. Being a guy, I don't know, but it worked out for me. No
Totally.
problems. I would say, well, it's like the BB gun company, Daisy. I don't know, or the sour cream could be that too. Neither one of those are my families. Neither one of those brands were my family, so I have to run my own firm. Anyway, I didn't get lucky enough for that. So Jordan, let's kind of get into what you do. I love like your style and the firm. I love if you go check out Jordan's website for his coaching side of things. His logo is awesome. He's like
Thanks,
laying
man.
in a hammock across the scales of justice, and I just love everything about it. He's always wearing a Hawaiian shirt, just chill, and so he's living the life he wants to live. So I'm just excited for you to kind of share some practical, tips for our audience today. Obviously, a lot of lawyers out there listening in, and so what's the best place for someone listening that's just running around like crazy? They're trying to grow their firm, and to step back a little bit and say, all right, is this really what I want, and am I living the life that I want to live?
Yeah. I mean, okay, so here's the thing for me. Somebody explained this to me the other day that when it comes to nonfiction books, it is Stephen Covey on one side and Malcolm Gladwell on the other. And so, like, anything by Stephen Covey is so tactical. Do this organization structure this. Whereas Malcolm Gladwell is just like, let me spin you the most wonderful story, and you will in learn something. You will take something from it inside. And so I think we kind of need to start with that, because ultimately I think the first step is the Malcolm Gladwell like story. You need to understand that like you are not writing the story of your life that you want before we can get into the Stephen Covey, these are the tactics for it. So
Wow.
mindset, woo woo, whatever you want to call it, like that's the part where this begins.
Love it.
Ideally, it's not knowing you're going to have a child and realizing that's the rude awakening of your life is awful. Hopefully, it's more proactive, but whatever works, whatever it takes. I'm here for you to have that moment of clarity that something drastic needs to change.
I appreciate that explanation. I think that makes a lot of sense. We want to kind of always go into tactical, mode, and what can I get from step one, two, three, four, and how can I go apply that? And the reality is, most people don't even go apply that. You go to a conference, you learn all this stuff, and then you come back and did you do any of it? To your point, I mean, those moments in time, like you had, like it was like boom, change has to happen, right? I had a young attorney on this show a couple years ago, and she was a solo and didn't delegate, didn't hire people, didn't have processes, just kind of running. And then she got COVID and was in the hospital for 2 or 3 weeks,
Oh
literally
no.
trying to work in her hotel, like can't barely breathe and working because she had no choice. Like knowing no bills are paid if she didn't get the work done. So
Which
that was a
sadly is a high performing LinkedIn post, right? Like the things that I learned working from my deathbed, now trending on LinkedIn.
yeah. So she was like, "Can I come back on the show and talk about basically what I learned from that experience and what she knows can't happen again?" So she has to build a team around her. She's got to delegate. She's got to you know build those things up. And a lot of lawyers that I meet, especially the solos, they're prescribed to, I got a case, I work it. Oh, the money's good, and then just stay in that, constant and just never escape it.
Totally. So let's get people out of that, because I don't want you to, God forbid you are in the hospital for 2 or 3 weeks, period, let alone it being doubly worse when you can't have your firm pause. That is sad and unfortunately common, at least to some extent. Maybe not hospital bed size, but like it is crazy to me the amount of lawyers that will say they took vacation and then brought a laptop and worked 4 hours a day on vacation or 6 hours a day or whatever and didn't have the right moments. And then you're modeling that for your family and your kids. Like there is no break from all this stuff. So
Yeah.
let's break the chain now.
What's everyone listening, like, what's something that would have them think about those moments, or
Yeah. So I there's three questions I have all my clients go through. And I look at it as like, I don't know if you're like me. I can't tell you the last time I got in my car and did not set my phone to a location, right? Like I'm not just driving around randomly. I have so, but with a business we don't. We're like, "Oh, I'm running this business and I don't know, like more cases, whatever." So like let's get our GPS set on what we want. And that is how much money do I need to make? Me personally, how much money do I need to make? So if you are a 20% profitable firm, you need $200,000. The firm has to make $1 million so that you have the 200,000. Then when do you want to be working? If your answer is never, I'm fine with that. We can work around that. If your answer is, 10 to 3 while my kid's in school, great. We can work around that. If your answer is Monday through Thursday because you want to take every Friday off, great. We can work around that. And then third is what work do you actually want to be doing? I think ultimately, from a law firm owner standpoint, you can be the business owner, you can be the lead salesperson, you can be the head marketer, you can be the lawyer, or some combination of those things. but really like giving your answer to those three questions. Now we have our coordinates set, and it becomes, how do we get there? And when you're stuck on a decision, does that decision get me closer to my questions or not? And obviously, sometimes you're going to sacrifice. Like you might hire another lawyer, which will impact the money a little bit, but will really free up the time. So it becomes a balancing test. But without those three questions, I don't think anybody has any idea what success really looks like for their business. And this really helps us figure that part out, because we need to do that first so that we then have the bandwidth, flexibility, and finances to live a great life, which ultimately ends up helping our business as well. At least I have found, and my clients have found.
Those are fabulous questions, and it's very simple. You're making it really simple because I'm just thinking about them, as you were asking them. And yeah, it's different for everyone, right? I've had people on this show, a lot of friends I know that they're CEOs, they run their firms. They don't even practice law, really. Like they decided, you know what? I like the business side better. That's what I want to do. Your wife loves being a lawyer, right? So
My wife is
she's
a legal scholar in
yeah.
every sense.
Yeah, so I was listening to Jordan on a recent podcast with Answering Legal, good friends of mine, and we use their call service. And yeah, he wanted to do business operations and marketing and that, and so you go and learn about that stuff. Where your wife wants to be the best lawyer and goes to conferences and stuff to learn about trial and how to be a better lawyer. So versus them both trying to be the best lawyer and be marketing and all these other things, and you're just overwhelming yourself with too many hats. So I think
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
really
that's
good to figure out.
my issue. Is you have so many lawyers that are beating themselves up. They're like, I'm not good at any of these things. But if you sat down, they're like, they have a 40-hour a week caseload. They have a 10-hour a week business development thing. They have a 20-hour a week marketing job. They have a 15-hour a week sales job. And they're trying to cram that into even 60 hours. Like you're taking 4 full-time jobs and trying to make it 1.5 time. Like, God bless you, but also like don't beat yourself up that you're doing a poor job, because you don't have the time to do 4 good jobs. Like that is not a thing that we are capable of as humans. So
Yeah, and
let's remove the guilt.
and maybe you're not the best lawyer. Maybe the lawyers you've hired are better than you, and that's okay. You don't have to be the best lawyer to run a great law firm and to help people, right? You can just be the marketer in your firm. It doesn't matter. I just came back from a conference, and there's a lot of like social media breakout sessions, like, and everyone's like, oh well, now I gotta be a social media influencer, and so they're like trying to figure out how they're gonna do that. And it's like, well, you don't have to do that, and you can also hire people to do that. It doesn't have to be something you take on. And so I think there's a lot thrown at these lawyers. They're like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. I'm not marketing over here, So, oh, my intake sucks, and now I got to focus on that. So there's a lot that has to be done in the business. There's so many parts that have to be focused on, and I think that maybe that's the key word, focused on, right? So you can't focus on all of it because you're not focused. You're trying to do everything. So good question, I think, is like, what do you want to do? What kind of work do you want to do? What do you enjoy
Yeah.
doing?
And look, I don't care what the answer is. I care that you figure out your answer, or, we figure out the answer together and then we work towards it. If you want a full caseload, great. Let's get you the support you need to be the actual lawyer. If you want to be like me and go get lunch and play golf with friends who quote unquote networking referral sources, great. We can set that up while there's, a lawyer and a staff and whatnot in the office. Like I don't care what the answer is. I just want to give you the opportunity to achieve it instead of having 27 plates spinning above you and being aggravated when one of them falls and breaks.
Yeah, one of the is a quote I saw recently at a presentation, but it was like, you know, working hard, um, doing something you don't like is called stress, and working hard, doing something you love is passion, right? So I think too, like, I read your stuff and listened to some stuff like 3 days a week, or I've 4 days a week, and just cutting back your time and your work. But some people might be like, you know what? I'm fine with 5 days a week, 40 hours a week, because I love doing what I want to do. And that's fine, but still be able to take off on the weekends, take off on longer trips, be able to step back. And if you're passionate about being there 5 days a week, I guess that's fine, right? It's, like you said, it doesn't matter what the answer is, but are you doing that, right?
Yeah. And look, it might change. Your answer might change. Great. Then make the changes to get to where you want to be. But I just, you read every amazing memoir of every super successful person, and all of them are like, I should have spent more time with my family. I should have spent more time with myself. If people knew what I went through, nobody would actually want to be me. And then we have this whole like hustle porn culture that is like, if you're not working 16 hours a day, like somebody is catching up to you. Like, yeah, until they die at 40, something stress related or lack of sleep or, whatever else. Like, stay in the game by taking care of yourself, which allows you more time to take care of others, whether it's a spouse, whether it's kids, whether it's employees, whether it's clients. Like, these attorneys who are burning the midnight oil, I don't think are actually doing right by their clients because they're burned out.
Today's episode is brought to you by Answering Legal. Now I just switched my company, Array Digital, over to Answering Legal, and it's made my life a whole lot easier. If I can't get to the phone, their 24/7 virtual receptionists take the call and take them through a full intake process, so we never miss new business again. Now, Answering Legal has been at this for more than a decade, and they specialize in answering phone calls for law firms like yours. They even have a brand new, easy-to-use app, and they integrate with all the top legal softwares and platforms. So, for my listeners today, we actually have a special deal of a 400-minute free trial offer of Answering Legal services that you can try out by going to answeringlegal.com/array. You can also call 631-437-4803 and use special code DAISY. That's my last name, DAISEY. So go check them out, and let's get back to the show. So Jordan, let's kind of get into what you do. I love like your style and the firm. I love if you go check out Jordan's website for his coaching side of things. His logo is awesome. He's like
Thanks,
laying
man.
in a hammock across the scales of justice, and I just love everything about it. He's always wearing a Hawaiian shirt, just chill, and so he's living the life he wants to live. So I'm just excited for you to kind of share some practical, tips for our audience today. Obviously, a lot of lawyers out there listening in. So, what's the best place for someone listening that's just running around like crazy? They're trying to grow their firm, and to step back a little bit and say, all right, is this really what I want? And am I living the life that I want to live?
Yeah. I mean, okay, so here's the thing for me. Somebody explained this to me the other day that when it comes to nonfiction books, it is Stephen Covey on one side and Malcolm Gladwell on the other. And so, like, anything by Stephen Covey is so tactical. Do this organization structure this. Whereas Malcolm Gladwell is just like, let me spin you the most wonderful story, and you will learn something, you will take something from it inside. And so I think we kind of need to start with that, because ultimately I think the first step is the Malcolm Gladwell like story. You need to understand that like you are not writing the story of your life that you want before we can get into the Stephen Covey, these are the tactics for it. So mindset, woo woo, whatever you want to call it, like that's the part where this begins.
Love it.
Ideally, it's not knowing you're going to have a child and realizing that's the rude awakening of your life is awful. Hopefully it's more proactive, but whatever works, whatever it takes. I'm here for you to have that moment of clarity that something drastic needs to change.
I appreciate that explanation. I think that makes a lot of sense. We want to kind of always go into tactical, mode, and what can I get from step 1, 2, 3, 4, and how can I go apply that? And the reality is, most people don't even go apply that. You go to a conference, you learn all this stuff, and then you come back and you do any of it. So, I to your point, I mean, those moments in time like you had, like it was like, boom, change has to happen, right? I had a young attorney on this show a couple years ago, and she was a solo and didn't delegate, didn't hire people, didn't have processes, just kind of running. And then she got COVID and was in the hospital for 2 or 3 weeks, literally
Oh,
trying to work in her hotel, like can't barely breathe and working because she had no choice. Like knowing no bills are paid if she didn't get the work done. So
which
that was
sadly is a high performing LinkedIn post, right? Like the things that I learned working from my deathbed now trending on LinkedIn.
yeah. So she was like, "Can I come back on the show and talk about basically what I learned from that experience and what she knows can't happen again?" So she has to build a team around her. She's got to delegate. She's got to, you know, build those things up. And a lot of lawyers that I meet, especially the solos, they're prescribed to, hey, I got a case, I work it. Oh, the money's good, and then just stay in that, constant and just never escape it.
Totally. So let's get people out of that because I don't want you to, God forbid you are in the hospital for 2 or 3 weeks, period, let alone it being doubly worse when you can't have your firm pause. That is sad and unfortunately common, at least to some extent. Maybe not hospital bed size, but like it is.
Yeah, yeah. You're burnt. Yeah, you're tired. You're burnt out. You're gonna make mistakes. You're less efficient, right? So yeah, focus. Yeah. So let's kind of go through these questions. So one at a time, real quick again, just so that it's fresh on people's minds. So uh, go through the questions again, and I'll kind of like hit on each one real quick, and then we'll kind of pull it all together, I guess.
Sure. How much money do you need to make? When do you want to be working? What work do you want to be doing? And specifically need, want. Like money, I am concerned about your need. Everything else I'm concerned about your want because we have to hit that need number first. I don't understand the concept of like mortgage your house to go do something when you have a family. So like let's hit the need and then we'll build the wants.
Yeah, I love that. So yeah, so I mean, it's really like you're back engineering it. You're creating a blueprint, right? So yeah, I need to make this much. Cool. How do we do that? Where are we at right now, right? Is the firm profitable enough? Maybe it's doing 1 million or 2 million, but there's no profit there. Um, you know, that's a big, the pay's got to be what it's got to be, what you're used to, but then what you're wanting, what your goals are. Um, I still think the work you want to do is a big one, especially. So let's think if there's an attorney listening right now, they're like, okay, yeah, I want to do this, but I'm doing all this stuff right now. And I talked to a lot of solos, especially that are like, I think it's kind of hard to see kind of like the other side. It's like they're just doing so many different things. They haven't hired many people yet. They don't trust anyone yet. They're not delegating. I think it's harder for someone like that to kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will. So, what would be maybe some good advice for someone like that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so the interesting thing is like figuring out what motivates you. Each person's going to have individual things. So like the easy answer is, hey, if your hourly rate is 250 an hour and you are doing e-filing that somebody could do for $10, it's not that you're saving $10, you're actually costing yourself $240 for every hour that you e-file instead of bill it. I mean, so that's one argument. The second point is like if you are sitting here on your deathbed from COVID, are you really going to be thinking, man, I'm so glad I did all that e-filing myself. Man, I'm so glad I updated my own website. Man, I'm so like, is this going to impact you? Don't get me wrong. 99% of decisions were never going to impact me on my deathbed. But over time, you start seeing these repeating patterns. And so like figure out, is it money motivation? Is it time motivation? Is it like, what do you want your eulogy to say? Like, here lies so and so who did everything themselves. Like, is that what you want? If so, fine. Like figuring out the true end in mind and working backwards. So I don't know what of those motivates every individual person. You have to figure out what motivates you, and then you can take the right steps to use that motivation to use Kevin's quote, to take the fear and turn or stress and turn it into passion.
Yeah, I mean, it's I've been there before, right? Doing a bunch of stuff you don't want to do. Just crippling, I think. Like it's especially if you have to show up every day and you're like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here. Like that is talk about sucking everything out of you. And you're not going to be efficient. You're you're not working your hardest. And you're just going backwards the whole time. So yeah, I think it's easy to, and this happens to me all the time too. I'll go, oh, I'm gonna go do this thing because me and my wife owns like some rental property houses and stuff like that. So it's easy to be like, you know what, I want to hire a contractor. Like I want to go do that myself, but actually enjoy that work. So it's kind of like, okay, well, yeah, I could hire someone to do it for me, but I kind of enjoy it at the same time. So for me, that's more of like escape, like, oh, I'm gonna go build this thing or whatever, and I like
Or
that. Where some people might like, you're crazy, man. I just hire someone to freaking do that. Like, you could make more money if you were selling law firms marketing. But I enjoy doing it, so I think that's fine. But I never really came to that conclusion until we were just talking right now.
well, and the craziest thing for me is like I think food's the best example because I all of us eat, I assume, usually maybe 3 times a day. So if you like cooking but you hate shopping, there's a service that will deliver the stuff to you ready to go. There's a service that will deliver the stuff to you not ready to go. There's a service, you can go out and eat. You can cook everything at home. You could grow your own vegetables. Like you have such a wide range. So figure out what you enjoy in the process, figure out what goal you're looking for and put it together. So for your standpoint, you like doing some of the contract work, great. The minute you hit the part that you don't like, you don't want to do electric. Cool, call an electrician and then you focus on the reframing the room. Like you don't have to commit 100%. You can pick and choose the things that truly bring enjoyment in any of these things and highlight them. But for the things that you hate, then figure out, is it worth me doing something I hate and losing money while doing it and wasting time doing it and spending longer to do it than an expert would take and not spending the time with my family? Like, then don't do it.
Yeah, no, good point. And that's exactly, my wife doesn't we don't she doesn't go to the store and shop. It's like it's all done online and then it gets delivered. So, she works, I work. That makes more sense than walking around the grocery store for 2 hours. So, time and money. And it's something we've
Evan,
been doing for years.
I'm going to share a really talk about adulting, right? So, yesterday, in the last couple months, I don't know where my socks have gone. Like, I don't know how often I've bought socks in my adult life. I don't think maybe it's once. Somehow I had like 6 different kinds of socks, and now like one's missing on all of them. I don't know where it went. I don't know if my 6 year old stole them. I don't know if they went in the trash. I have no clue. So, yesterday, I had 18 pairs of the exact same socks delivered that all match each other, and I can throw out all the rest of them. And so, like, I'm not doing laundry, but whoever is, they're saving time not matching up all these socks. Like, that is super anal and adulting, and I get it. So I'm not telling
Love
you
it.
to necessarily always wear the same socks, but what I'm telling you is like you figure out the things that are inconvenient in your life, like figuring out where all of my one pairs of socks are that don't match anything else, and you just solve the problem through money, through delegation, through automation, through people, or stop doing it. Trust me, I am guilty of wasting a ton of time still, even now. So like it's okay to just do less. We don't have to constantly be looking for more to put onto our plates. We can take things off of our plates and be more effective at the things that are still on our plates.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I mean, I got so many socks, and like I don't know how many don't match. It's ridiculous. Like every year, my mom buys me a pair of random socks for Christmas, so I just keep them all. Like I got 2 or 3 drawers full of socks. I think I might have to take up your idea there. My
Dude, it
wife
was
would love
like
that for sure.
$20 on Amazon. I have 36 different whatever one is. They're all the same. So much easier, so much. And, I've got a couple pairs of dress socks. Not that I dress up maybe once a year at this point.
Flip
They still
flops. You don't even need
exist.
socks.
Yeah,
If I
correct.
lived
I
in
don't even wear
Orlando,
socks most days unless I'm going to the gym or running or something like that. I usually don't even wear socks. It's more reason to not know where they are. Might have left them at a disc golf course or a golf course or I don't whatever.
if it's hot out, I'm wearing flip flops as much as I can. Here's another quick example. Well, 2 examples, real quick. One, I go back and forth. I used to have someone mow my lawn, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to mow my own lawn. So I went and bought. I was like, oh, I'll save some money. So I bought a $2,000 or $3,000 lawnmower. And I was like, all right, if you did the math, it would take like 4 years of weekly mowing to pay for my lawnmower. So I'm not saving money. I just like doing it, and I use the tractor for a lot of other stuff. I took the kids around like a hayride, wagon, and all this stuff for Halloween. So I just like having the lawnmower, the tractor, and I'm not saving any money by paying someone $40 a week when the tractor costs almost $3,000. Like so, um, so I think we lie to ourselves on some of those things. But then it comes to like the grass and the seed. I'm like, I'm over that crap, so I'm hiring that out.
Oh, but let me take you a step farther. So, like, look, as lawyers, most of us work in a small geographic area. I cannot practice outside of Florida. I don't want to practice outside of Central Florida. So I can hire a lawn guy. I can explain to him what I do. I can explain to him that he cannot ethically, solicit for me or whatever. But like my lawn guy sends me business because it's a PI. Everybody gets in a car accidents. The dry cleaning person sends us business once a year, once every 3 years, once every 5 years. Who cares? Because even Kevin's breakdown of 4 years for it to be worth it, and then throw in a $25,000 PI case, and now it's 10 years for it to be worth it. And that's assuming I enjoyed doing the thing and could do the thing in the same time and, whatever else. Like, this is how we can make all of this work by multi impact, not multitasking, but multi impact. We can outsource to people, turn them into referral sources and friends and colleagues, get the stuff done better and faster, while we can enjoy what we're doing more frequently, like the landscaping without, or, the lawn cutting without having to worry about the seeding and fertilizing and whatnot.
Yeah, no, I think it makes a ton of sense, and I think it's easy to fall into the constantly, right? So even if you like, I think it'd be good to make. I forgot what book it was, but it's like making a list of all the tasks you do in a day, and then you bucket them, list them in columns of $10 an hour work, $100 an hour work, $1,000 an hour work, and $10,000 an hour work. And if I can think of the book, I'll post it whenever this goes live. But $10,000 an hour work, you're like, well, what the hell would that be? Speaking on stage at a conference, or a big sales opportunity, where you a referral partner, where you're getting your referral partners, stuff like that.
Oh, or internal
Um,
training. I mean, I've got six
yeah,
people here in Orlando. For me to spend an hour training them could be $10,000 work if it helps them get a case slightly better. If it helps them sign up a case we wouldn't have, it helps them get a good review that leads to another case. If it helps them get a better resolution, like trust me, as a business owner, there are things that you can do that are $1 million ideas that seem so stupid that it would move the needle that much, but turns out over a year, 10 years, 30 years, moves the needle a ton.
absolutely. Well, the thing is, how much $10 an hour work are you doing? And even as a lawyer, how much $100 an hour work are you doing? Like stuff that you should not be doing. And so that was a good exercise. But I guess I did that exercise a while back and cut a lot of stuff, but then stuff seeps back in, right? So it's this constant battle of, oh, well, I'm just going to do that myself. And so even though I have like 55 employees, like delegation's not been too difficult, but every time something new comes about, like, oh, I'll do that. And then next thing you know, you're back to, holy crap, I'm at the office late again. I got too many meetings on my plate, doing too many things. And you'll start to realize that, hey, I've been doing stuff that I shouldn't be doing. So I think that's another issue is, even if you kind of figure things out, you can just slip right back into it.
Well, yes, and are you familiar with the concept of the hedonic treadmill?
I'm not.
So, it comes up in How to Win Friends and Influence People. He talks about these kids that had like something terrible happen and they end up in an orphanage, and then like they're playing and having fun after 6 months, like the ability to adapt. We have since learned more about the human mind, and we have the hedonic treadmill. So you hit the lottery, and after 6 months you lose the money, or you're at least as unhappy as you were beforehand because you compensate for it. And so we all have this naturally built, and when it's to help you overcome like losing a limb or a spouse or a child, it's great. when you have it where it's not allowing you to appreciate anything that's gone far, it sucks. At that same time, like the thing that made sense for you to keep on your plate 6 months ago, you might adapt to a situation where it's no longer makes sense for you to have it. It's not that it was the right call then, it's that it's the right call now to delegate that. Or with, dude, with AI changing everything, the things that I used to have to do that now, like I have a chat GPT or a GPT that's good enough to know me to have the first draft of copywriting for me to make final approval instead of having to do an outline, instead of having to put some of the stuff together, and have it come back. Like it's
Yeah, yeah,
amazing
yeah.
how technology is changing what's the best use of our times.
Yeah, that's a good point. And yeah, it is okay to be like, you know what, I'm going to do this for now. This is temporary, and I'm going to find someone that's going to do this for me. But so that I think that's fine. Like you're saying, it's as new things come about, new ideas, new processes within your company, that you might put that hat on for a temporary point of time. And I think as an owner, or entrepreneur, or lawyer, you know, it's nice to be able to do those things and jump back and go, I need to take care of this for a temporary time. Maybe we lost a person, or maybe I wanted to show my team, hey, I know what I'm doing there, but you don't want to continue to wear that hat. You want to be to step back out of it. But it's good to build up those skills and have had to go through that, right? Um, so if you're needed, you can step back into that role for a temporary time.
I would say slight pushback. Get to
Sure.
do that. Get to go through that so that you can learn to delegate it better, that you can explain it better to the next person, that you have a better idea of who you're trying to hire to fill the spot the next time around. Like get to do it, because as a
I like
business
that.
owner, like we don't have to do anything. We are choosing to go through this grind.
No, I like that. Yeah, it's getting that experience and have a better understanding of it, especially when you're trying to hire someone to do it and yeah, you're not familiar with it. So a good point there. So, well, Jordan, I appreciate your time on the show. I love what you're doing. And I like how chill you guys are. Check Jordan out. He's got some great stuff to share. Jordan, what's the best way for our audience to connect with you?
Or if you go to jordanostroff.com, you'll find my website. You'll get a really good feel if I'm the right vibe for you. If not, I totally get it. No harm, no foul. But if I am, I've got a free newsletter that goes out every week. I've got a podcast that just started this Tuesday. So
Congrats.
a lot of free info. Thank you. A lot of free info out there, really genuinely trying to help more lawyers avoid the burnout, enjoy their job, show up better for their clients, their employees, their spouses, ultimately live a great life. We can do it as an industry. And the more we get together to not be okay with the status quo of the billable hour as a badge of honor, the better we all will be.
Well, I love what you're doing and appreciate that. Please reach out to Jordan and connect with him. Check out his new podcast, and we'll see Jordan soon. But it's great calls. Love what you're doing, and I appreciate it. So, everyone, have a great day. Get out there, look at what you're doing, make sure you're doing the right things and doing what you love. And if you're not really sure, reach out to this guy.
Thanks so
We'll talk to you
much.
soon. Thanks, Jordan.